Welcome, everybody. Oi, hola, hi. I would like you to teach you two words today in Portuguese. Yes, we say sim, and no, we say no. So if I ask you, are you with me? What would you say?
Sim.
Very good. Are you feeling sad today?
Now. Well,
Very
I'm
good.
going there with the audio, right? Because I have the big microphone, okay, Jessica? That's why.
Okay. So today I'm going to talk about adaptation and growth, how disruptive change transformed employee training and development. And to start, I just would like all of you to imagine that one day you are in a world that is in one way, and the other way, this world completely is changed. How would you feel? Would you be scared? Would you be fine with the situation? Would you just go with the flow, or would you just panic? And I'm asking you this because I have lived this situation while we had to apply a disruptive change in our organization. And today I'm here because I want to share how I managed to do it and all the challenges, opportunities, and learnings I had from this experience. And I must say that my intercultural background completely and totally helped me to deal with that. To start, as you can see here, there are some challenges when we talk about not as a specific innovation, but a continuous one, and in the sector that I work on. If we think about the IT sector, we have professionals that are constantly changing and knowing the technologies that they are working on. But on the other hand, if we compare them with different sectors, yes, they are ahead. But they can be working in technologies that are not so up to date. And today I'm going to show you, even people working in IT sector, how it is important for us to work this innovation mindset with them, and specifically in the scenario of Gen AI. That was the competency that we have applied in the organization. Additionally to that, if we are talking about a global organization, the complexity is much higher, because then we have people all over the world, across countries, and how do we manage the same change in different contexts, in different regions? And I'm going to show you how we manage to do that. So talking about the Gen AI training implementation. First of all, we had to work on identification. What does it mean? We had them to understand how Gen AI was a critical competency to have, based not only what in the request from our clients, but also in all the company needs, the market trends, and their own career development. Second, when we talk about the curriculum development, so how we guided them to develop this new competency, there was a creation of multi-level competency framework. What do I mean by that? It was not only about virtual trainings. We had to implement hands-on sandboxes. We had to guide them on external certifications to take. We had to explain them about the tools that were available, and in all the levels, not only the people that were going to apply this directly on clients, but also people supporting them in the support functions, because they needed to understand the mindset and what the change was going to bring. Third, we had to work on communication, because if this was a change implemented globally, and we had our leadership involved, they have to cascade to their teams, and their teams had to cascade to their team members. Now, imagine doing that across regions, from Latin America to Europe to Asia. The communication had to be adapted. The communication had to be at the same time in line with the corporate guidelines. So that's something that we had to implement and work on. And fourth, in the end, the implementation itself. One critical point that was applied was Gen AI was put not only as an optional training, but as a mandatory training. And depending on the level that the employees were on, they also had some certification requirements that they had to take specifically for their areas. Now, to work on this change, it was not only an option, but essential to involve what we call change agents. And I'm going to explain now what were their roles in this change and who were those change agents. First of all, we had a training and development team that were going to implement the Gen AI training. They had to work on analysis, on the curriculum. They also had to make the leadership from the projects to buy the idea. Of course, we had the global leadership taking all these strategic decisions and also given the budget available to buy all the tools that we needed, to hire external vendors to train the associates. And again, all this global leadership had to be connected to be at the same page. Third, we had what we call the regional training and development team, because the first team that I was mentioning, they were from the corporate team. But if we think about each area that we have, each region that we have, we also had to work on with the training and development team from those regions, because they were going to answer the questions, they were going to take the sessions to explain about the competency. And the fourth agent change that we had to work on was in the local leadership, because actually they were the ones that were going to influence the employees to buy the idea of the whole Gen AI competency in the organization. Now, another thing that it was really important during this process was for us to apply the Rogers diffusion of innovation. And in his theory, we have what we call the adoption spectrum. It is really important to adapt the different levels in which the people are going to be involved in this innovation. So what do we have here? We have the innovators, we have the early adopters, we have the early majority, we have the late majority, and we have the laggards. Of course, we need to work with all of them, but two of them are really key during this process: the early adopters and the laggards. And why so? The innovators, of course, they are going to buy it. They will be the champions from the initiative. But the early adopters, they are the ones that are going to take the early majority to adopt. So they are the ones that really need to be worked on, because it's not only about them, it's also about the early majority. And the laggards, why they are also important to work on and to pay attention, because they will influence the late majority. And if they are not into the adoption, they are going to push this late majority back. So this was really important to identify in the different people that were going to be influenced to take up this innovation. Now, it's important to identify some characteristics of these early adopters and the laggards, because as I mentioned, it's not only about them, it's also about the people that they are going to influence. And if you identify the characteristics that they have, it is easier for you to understand how they work. So what we can think about here: experience level, network reach, financial attitude, personality, and social participations. The early adopters, usually they have few years of experience, they are more globally connected across the organization, they are willing to pay for external certifications, for example, they are open to change, to new challenges, and they are highly interactive with diverse groups. That's a key point. Now, if we talk about the laggards, they have more years of experiences. Usually they are isolated in their local projects. They are not so connected with others. They are resistant because some financial investments that they have some dogmatic mindset, really preferring more the comfort zone, and they are limited to immediate work group. They prefer to work by themselves. Now, some lessons that we have, and also those lessons are for you if you're thinking about some future changes, initiatives in your context. First of all, consistent expectations. It has to be clear since they start. We know that when we are implementing innovation, changes might happen on the way. But the thing is, if it is clear, the key, if the strategy is clear for all, not only for the higher leadership, it is easier to cascade and to get people involved. Second of all, what we call tailored approaches. It's important to have different strategies for different adopter groups. I mentioned the adopter groups previously, but in this point, if we are talking again about a global organization, it was also important for us to adapt some parts of the communication. So depending on the region, the logos had to be different. The sentences that we used to call people in the communications had to be more adapted, and the translation was really important on this sense. Third of all, what we call the transparent communication. How it was important for us to share the big picture. So not only telling people complete this mandatory training, but explaining how Gen AI was changing the market, how Gen AI was changing our clients, because once they had the view of everything that was happening and the perspective as a whole, they bought more easier the innovation. And the fourth point is what we call inclusive planning, involving the local leadership in the decision making. This was key because, again, as I have mentioned, if it was a change that had to be cascaded in different regions, we had the local training and development team that knew their stakeholders, that knew the leaders, that knew the team members, and once they were involved in this training, in this planning, it was much more easier once it was implemented in their contexts. And some key takeaways also, if you are managing other disruptive change in your context, first of all, it's so important. Actually, it's not so important. It is essential to recognize diversity in the adoption patterns. You can apply that Roger's point on innovation where people are, but also understanding the differences that will be on the local teams, on the global teams, because it is different the way that they would buy the idea of the Gen AI. Second, leverage change agents strategically, because they are the ones that are going to influence people. They are the ones that are going to take the decisions, and they are the ones that really can make new ideas and suggestions happen. And third, it was so important for us to learn from each initiative. So not only analyze the successes that we have, not only analyze the failures that we have, but analyze both and see how we could improve for the next one. And I just would like to conclude asking you, are you ready for the next innovation in your context? Sí or no? I hope you are, because it will happen. And if you need support, if you would like to discuss, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Muchísimas gracias. Muito obrigado.